so too was Christ representing the character of Satan in the Garden of Eden. You know that rebellious spirit? Take this cup away from me. I don't want it. I don't want a part of it. And then Jesus stops and says, nevertheless, not what I will, what do you want me to do? He took what happened in the Garden of Eden and he flipped it around. Over here, Adam and Eve said, God said to Adam and Eve, do not eat. Adam and Eve said, well, I don't care what you think. What do you want me to do? And they ate. If we come over this side to the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus stopped and said, well, not what I will, representing sinful, fallen nature. He takes the will out of Satan's hands and says, but Father, what do you want me to do? He turned around everything that took place. It's amazing, and it's no coincidence that in the Garden of Eden it was lost. And in the Garden of Gethsemane it was saved. No coincidence, is there? No coincidence. And so we can see what took place here is that Jesus Christ represented fallen human nature in every single way. And he stopped and said, Father, nevertheless, not what I will, but what do you want me to do? He took his own will, surrendered it to God, and said, I live my life according to you. Where do you want me to go? And Christ just pointed straight down and said, to the cross. It's not your will no more. Go to the cross. In Hebrews chapter 8, verse 5 and 6, let us have a look at this. Hebrews chapter 8, verse 5 and 6. Just want to compare something to you. In Hebrews chapter 8, verse 5 and 6, Paul turns around and writes to us, who serve the copy and shadow of the heavenly things, as Moses was divinely instructed when he was about to make the tabernacle. For he said, see that you make all things according to the pattern that was shown you on the mountain. Let me just stop there. Can you picture this? Moses was called up the mountain to start this sanctuary service. And he says, right, Moses, Exodus 25 verse 8, let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell with them. Here comes this salvational service coming in, and he calls Moses up the mountain. Think of it like this. The father calls his son and says, go up Mount, what's the mountain's name? Mount Calvary, Mount Golgotha. And I'm going to give you the sanctuary service in the fulfillment which man must. Only way. Don't change the pattern, Christ, because it's very, very important that you stick to every single particularity of the pattern. Moses had strong advice. Don't make the furniture the way you want to make it. Don't choose the gold that you want to choose or the wood. It has to be this wood. It has to be this gold. And Jesus comes to the fulfillment of this now, and Christ says, nevertheless, not what I will, what do you want me to do? Go to the cross. And you have to do it in the way that I tell you to do it, because you're an example, remember? People are following you. You're an example. Just like he called Moses up the mountain. And we know that when the people said to Moses, let not God talk to us, you talk to God for us, that Moses was a mediator between God and man. Jesus went up the mountain, Mount Calvary, as a mediator, as the sin repayment between God and man. And he became their sanctuary. In the fulfillment, he was the literal sanctuary. The literal sanctuary. Let us now have a look at 2 Corinthians 5:17. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Second Corinthians 5:17. We all there? Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away, behold, all things have become new. You know, read this verse, if anyone is in Christ, they are a new creation. Old things have died, behold, all things have become new. Jesus looks at us and says, you know what happens at the cross? You die. And you know who else dies? That character that you brought out of the Garden of Eden dies at the cross. You know, the only place that Christ defeated Satan was on the cross. That was the only place. And then God turns around to Jesus and says, you are the sanctuary. You are the sanctuary, Jesus. Go to the cross. That's the only place, because Satan's accusations were that God is unfair, God is unjust, and God is not kind and not lovable. So when you go to the cross, you're going to reveal that, why would I kill my own son if I was these things? Because Satan knows that at the cross is where self dies. But beloved, if we do not have a Garden of Eden experience where we are willing to take that cup, you know the exchange that Jesus has for us? He had the cup of sin. And he says, give me your cup of sin, and you take my cup of righteousness. Pour that on yourself. Are you willing? And then go to the cross. You've got to go to the cross. The only place we're saved is at the cross. That's the only place we're saved. Beloved, now I know why when Paul says in 1 Corinthians 2:2, I beseech to speak nothing save Jesus Christ and Him crucified. That's all we have. Just like Moses was not allowed to make the tabernacle according to his pattern, it had to be according to the pattern that God said. Jesus looks at us. And I asked you the question earlier, who's willing to follow Jesus? Who's willing? Jesus says, where I am, Father, I desire that they will be where I am. And then Jesus walks straight into the Garden of Gethsemane and says, die to the nature that Satan has had over you since your parents left the Garden of Eden. The only way to do it is to take my nature, go to the cross, and you're a new creation. Brand new creation. I'm going to invite Zeb to come up. And he's prepared a special item for us. In this song, I want you to listen. I want you to listen to the song. Put yourself in the song. This song is designed to, you've got to put yourself in the song. Think about it.
Prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be your living sanctuary, Lord, for you. Lord, you know how my heart is weary.
Through the hard times, you've been true. Lord, please lead me into your sanctuary, where my heart will be renewed. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be your living sanctuary,